Hi, this is Ben from Urban Brain Studios, and I wanted to make a video to quickly show you some of the new features in ChatMapper version 1.3. We've been focusing mainly on productivity enhancements, and I wanted to show you a few of those right now. To begin, we've added conversation links. Previously, each dialogue tree such as this that represents a single conversation over here in the conversations list, each node could only be linked to other nodes in that conversation. But now with the conversation links, we can link conversations together. So for example, let me open up conversation number 2 here. And let's say at the end of this branch, I wanted to link directly to conversation 3 and just go ahead and start it in the simulation right after this node. So what I can do is just right click and then choose link to conversation. And then I choose conversation number 3, the one I want to link to, and hit OK. Now I have this new type of connector that's created that says to Convo 3. If I right click and say follow link, it'll open up that conversation. Not only that, when I simulate this, once I get to this node, the next node to load will be this root node right here, and I'll be prompted with either a choice or based on the conditions, it follows the correct branch. So that's just one example of the type of enhancements we've implemented. Now that one is available to all the versions. Localization that we've added is only available to commercial licenses at this time. You'll notice that in the main interface there's this new drop-down called Active Localization, and it's set to default right now. To add more languages to the project, I go to Project on the menu, Project Settings, Custom Asset Fields, and Dialog Nodes. You'll notice that the old dialog text field, which cannot be changed, is the type localization now instead of text. So each custom asset field that you add that is marked as localization will be interpreted as a new language. So I can just click on Add Field. I'll name it something like FR France for French language. Change the type to localization. And I might as well add a second language as well, just to demonstrate this. So let's add Spanish, also localization. So they're both set to localization, and hit OK. And what that does is on each node, if I look at the properties, I now have a French field and a Spanish field. And now I could go through and fill all of these out by hand, but that would take a long time and it's not very convenient. And I'll show you a quick way to fill those in a second that we've added. But the important thing is that each of those languages I've just added now show up in this drop-down list. So if I just choose French, it will load in all of the French dialogue for the entire project. And since I haven't defined anything yet, they're all blank. So that brings me to the next enhancement, which is Excel export and import. So this is what we're going to use to quickly fill in the localization text. Let me switch back to the default language, which is English in this case. If I choose File, Export, Project Data to Excel, and this is a feature that's available to indie and commercial license holders. Let me click on that, and I will export this to exampleassets.xlsx. Hit Save, and now it prompts me what I want to actually export. For this, I'm just localizing the text, so I don't really need any of the actors, items, or locations. I just need the conversations at this point. Click OK, and it will export. Let me show you what that did. Here's the file I just created. Each conversation is a separate tab, conversations 1 through 4. And each conversation contains a list of all of the dialog nodes in that conversation, along with all of the custom asset fields. At the end here is our French and Spanish localization columns. So now I can send this to a localization team. They can fill in those values and then send this file back to me. After I have that complete, which I have here, example assets localized, and let me just show you what this looks like. So here I have the same file, but now I've just filled in the localization columns. So I have a Spanish and a French language for each node that has any dialog text. Now all I have to do is go back to ChatMapper, File, Import, Data from Excel, and I choose that localized Excel file. It recognizes that there are no actors, items, or locations present, so the only thing I can import is conversations and dialog nodes. Hit OK, and it'll give me an import summary. So I have 4 matched existing conversations. 9 of the dialogues actually matched the existing, so they were probably ones that didn't have any text. 73 were updated. So now I can switch to the French localization on this drop-down list, and all of the French localizations are loaded in automatically in the display tree. So now I can quickly browse through and view the flow of the conversation. I can also play the conversation at this point and see the French localization. Great. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about is the command line interface. Now this is pretty cool for commercial license holders as well, where I can essentially automate the process of exporting to Excel, RTF, or a number of other formats. To do this, you can refer to the help documentation. There's a new section called Command Line Tools, and this is how you form the command line syntax. Basically, it is the executable, a command listed down here, so you can export to XML, Excel, and other formats, even custom exporters that you may create, the output path, and a number of input CMP files separated by commas. So let me just quickly demonstrate that to wrap up. Here's my command line, and let's say that I want to export a file, or let's say 2 files, to XML format. All I would do is open up my installation directory and reference the executable. If you were to add this path to your system path, you would just need to type chatmapper.exe. Now I type the format I would like to export to, XML. Then I specify my output folder. I've made a folder here called output. This is on my desktop. I'll drag this here. Then I specify the files. So let's say I want to export this example. And let's also export this project called Untitled Project. So I just separate the input files with commas, and I can put another one there. I'm going to close ChatMapper just to avoid any file permission conflicts. Great. I'll just hit enter, and this will open a console output, and it shows the export progress, and it's already finished. I'll just close these, and you can see here that in my output folder I have both XML files that I specified. So with that, I think I've given you a brief overview of some of the new productivity tools in ChatMapper 1.3, and I hope you find them useful. Thank you.